Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. 2 more of your property questions and 2 more answers coming your way. First, we will just quickly remind you of how you can send in a question of your own.
It is very quick because you just need to go to one place. Go to propertyhub.net/ask. There you can leave us an audio message, or if you wish, you can write into us and you may see your question answered in the Sunday Times, where we answer questions each and every week. But we're here now, so let's do some audio stuff. And first up, we have a question in from Luke.
Hi Rob and Rob, it's Luke here, formerly from South Wales, now live in Herefordshire. I've spoken to you guys a couple of times before. As always, thank you for your great content. My wife and I have just completed on our 4th buy-to-let. All our houses are between the £150,000 and £170,000 mark. Rental return is quite good in the South Wales area, and we're just sort of wondering what next. After listening to a lot of your content, we're wondering if we should carry on in this sort of path, these relatively low value houses on the buy-to-let, or whether to branch out into something else now. So we've got a few years to kind of regroup some money. I spoke to a chap who was really enthusiastic about industrial lets. I'm just curious if you guys have ever dabbled in that or have much experience in it, particularly factory units. I think the upfront capital is a bit stronger for this kind of thing. But the chap was really enthusiastic, selling it, saying how safe it is, how much good the returns are and the long-term gains. I'm just wondering if it was you, from our point of view now, would you carry on doing the same sort of thing, these sort of low-value lets, or would you potentially move into something else? If so, what would it be? Thank you very much, as always. Cheers. Bye.
Luke, thank you for your question, and a really good one. So yes, Rob and I have talked about one of our many mistakes in property was not pivoting our strategy soon enough. So I love your awareness around this. I really do think it's going to come back to what you're trying to achieve overall. Is your strategy a rental-based strategy? So you're planning to live off the rent? Or are you in this for the long term and you can see how the capital growth from property can really transform your life? There is no right or wrong answer. It's what's right for you. And it will depend on how quickly you intend to benefit from your property portfolio. You may even be supplementing your income now. So what I'm suggesting is there's a lot to take in and a lot to consider. As you've taken the time to reflect on where you're at with your portfolio now, I suggest you do the same with your goals. And don't worry if they've become a bit fuzzy, because I appreciate it's probably a while ago since you started and you've probably developed your ideas since then. And that's completely fine, by the way. But take the time to do it, because then you will make better decisions. If your goals dictate that you should move away from high yield, low value properties, then do it. Don't be scared. The country's a very big place and you actually don't need to wander too far out of South Wales. If you want to stay in South Wales, I think Cardiff's a really good place to invest in certain parts of it, at least anyway. I think fundamentals are super strong there. And there are other areas that are not too far away that you can consider as well. So it doesn't have to be that scary leap, but actually with the right systems in place, investing in other areas like Birmingham or Manchester and all the other places we often mention, I can assure you is not that terrifying. Once you start, you'll be wondering why I questioned this in the first place. But coming back to the main task at hand, focus on what you want, get very clear about your goals, and then once you know that, look back at your portfolio and go, is this taking me in the right direction, or is now the time to pivot? Good luck.
Okay, let's have our next question now from Tommy.
Hi, Rob and Rob. So we have a leasehold 1-bed maisonette in a good capital growth area in Essex, which is in my personal name. The council own the freehold and the rates are reasonable, but we currently have 125 years left. It has been fully refurbished and I've lived in it for 2 years, so we should make a bit of money if we sold it. But as we only originally put the 10% deposit down, we wouldn't be able to withdraw any equity through a refinance. We will be moving to Newcastle, as this is where my partner is from. We have some savings, probably just enough to rent out our current property and buy another rental in Newcastle. I want to use a limited company from now on and focus more on freehold properties. So am I better off selling my leasehold property in my name and potentially get an extra property through the limited company, or should I just keep hold of it and wait for the capital growth to kick in? Thanks for all the podcasts. It's been really helpful.
Tommy, thank you for your question. I think this is probably a pretty simple numbers question, but it's been clouded by the fact that you have lived in the property, so you have some kind of attachment towards it. And it sounds like you've come to an opinion around wanting freehold rather than leasehold, which may be for a particular reason or may not be. I don't know. But I think if you can put all that aside, can just get all the facts down on paper, you'll probably come down to quite a simple calculation of what would it look like if I rented this property out versus what would it look like if I sold this property and bought another one to rent out. But there are a few extras that I want to throw in the mix to consider. One of them is the limited company versus personal name point. You need to work out, if you do rent this property out, what would be your post-tax position? How much money would you make from renting it out? Or would you be losing money from renting it out? That's something that's really important to understand, because if it's acting as a drain on your finances, that's definitely not something you want. Also, there's the practicality aspect of it. How do you feel about renting out a property that's hundreds of miles from where you now live? Chances are, if it's an area you've lived in before, you'll know it well. You may know other people locally who can help. It's probably not a big deal, but it's something worth considering. And while you say that you only put 10% down, so you wouldn't be able to pull anything out, no, not if you refinance, but if you were to sell the property, a 10% deposit in Essex, especially if you've added some value, is probably a 25% deposit in the northeast. So you've definitely got options. So I think if you consider all that and look at the numbers, you'll probably have an answer about what's likely to be the best thing to do. But the reality of property is that many of us don't do what appears to be optimal on paper, because there is a lot of emotion and hassle and inertia involved. So if I were to bet, I'd say what you'll probably end up doing is renting the property out for a while, because selling it while you're also in the middle of moving yourself and doing everything that comes along with that is going to be a giant pain. So you'll follow the path of least resistance. That's what I would do. And that's okay. You don't have to do what is perfectly optimal. And that would then allow you to revisit after a year and go, okay, how do I feel about this? How's it working out? Am I still happy owning this property? Or have I seen great opportunities up here that I want to do something with? So I would say, Tommy, don't worry about it too much. There are no screaming red flags in there that make it sound like you need to do something now because you're at any kind of risk or you're missing out on any great opportunities. Just see how it goes, give it some time, and I'm sure everything will start to look a lot clearer.
Well, there we go. Luke and Tommy, your questions have been answered. I hope you listening have benefited from those questions and answers as well. But we don't want to stop there. We're going to be back on Thursday with the Property Podcast, giving you even more. And you'll find us in the Sunday Times answering your questions on, guess what? Sunday in the home section. Check us out there. And of course, we'll be back same time, same place next week with Ask Rob and Rob. Until then, take care. Have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.